We're rolling here. Look at all your devices.
I know. I'm just.
You've got
like
three different devices. Oh, four and
always. I'm surrounded.
What's the Pokemon one?
It's to track the Pokemon that I walk. I'm walking.
Walking Pokemon right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're gonna get into that, but I just wanted, just for the audience, to paint a word picture, the number of devices we have here. Of course, we've got, in case they're only listening and not watching, on the GoPro over here, and then you've got a smartwatch of some sort.
Smartwatch.
And
Keep
you.
an eye on my
What is
notifications.
that? What is that watch? Pebble?
It's the Pebble.
Oh,
It's the one
yeah.
that's now dead.
But it
because,
was the big
was
like
the one.
Kickstarter smartwatch.
It was the alternate to the Apple Watch when you
Right.
couldn't afford it.
Right. But it was even first, wasn't it? Pebble was.
I believe so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then you've got your Samsung tablet here,
Yeah.
the iPhone or the Samsung phone, Android something
No,
something.
I have an iPhone, so
What
I
is an
have
iPhone?
like Android and iPhone just
Oh,
in case
okay,
because there's some apps that only work on iPhone.
Right,
Some
right.
only work on
Interesting,
Android.
interesting.
So you got to keep fluid.
Right, true enough.
And then the Pokewatch.
And that's just for me.
Is that for Pokemon Go?
It is.
Oh, it really is.
Oh no, it is. No, it's not. Yeah.
You haven't seen this?
No.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I know about Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
I played it for 2 days, but then
There you
that
go.
was
I am still a current community member.
it. And what is the watch about?
So you put in a Pokemon into your walking buddy,
Okay.
and then it measures your steps.
Oh,
so
you're
if you walk,
exercising your Pokemon?
yeah,
And they level up because of the.
yeah, exactly. You get more
Oh, that's
candy,
cool.
which then you can use to level up.
Huh.
Oh, you get more candy.
Yes, that's how it works.
I love a good like competitive incentive to be physically active. I think that's
Oh, it is. Like the greatest thing about Pokemon Go is that the benefits that people didn't well, that dogs benefited from this more than anything. It's like, you mean
totally, yeah, yeah.
We're going for another walk. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely,
yeah,
yeah.
there's a Charizard 2 blocks away.
And not to mention that people genuinely met each other. I mean, the naysayers were like, "Oh, they're gonna get killed going into
Crossing
strange."
the street,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's some interesting stories. Like I know somebody found a dead body trying to jump a
Yes.
fence, and but
Trespassing.
yeah, for sure. But also,
yeah.
yeah, and there's like there's a church that kept getting visited because of it was a certain location, and
Yeah.
But there's a mall that like created that had like a Pokeball in the floor, right? Because
I didn't know
the
that.
center of the mall was like a Pokestop, and so they like
Right.
embraced it and just leaned
that's
into it.
that's so
Yeah.
smart. Yeah.
So welcome to the Pokemon podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So who are you? Tell us. You're right. Let's start from the top.
Well, my name is Sebastian Salazar, and I'm a local filmmaker / social media content producer here in Calgary.
Cool.
Has that been your name your whole life?
Sebastian A. Salazar. Yes.
Yeah, that's a fucking awesome.
It's a cool name. There's
Oh,
no doubt
it's a
about
name
that.
you don't forget.
It's a name about this long. I've had to grow into it.
Right,
I've
right.
embraced it. It is mine.
It's amazing. Do you have a short like Seabass or like? Do you have
It's definitely Seabass.
do you get called Seabass?
I've never had a nickname until I started going to karaoke, and it's like, that's too long, and I can't spell it. What's your name? Seabass. Okay, that works.
Cool.
And coincidentally, it works really well on the radio.
Ah.
If you're on set and you're like, Sebastian will come, go
Yeah.
to 2. Like, no. But if you go Seabass, it's
It's
very quick.
sharper. Yeah.
It gets right in there. And so it happened to me working in the airline industry.
Oh.
Oh.
Also, radios, walkies,
Yep,
the whole
yep.
language that we had to use on set.
Right.
It transferred right over. So people are like, well, what's your nickname? That name's too long. Seabass.
Right. And
Cool.
what about the airline industry? What's that all about?
I grew up in the airline industry. My dad has always worked at the airport. He was a
Oh,
mechanic.
cool.
So
Wow.
coincidentally, once I needed to get off the couch and find a job, my dad's like, go work at WestJet.
Right.
So he literally he pushed me off the
Yeah,
couch,
Go work with
and I got a job at WestJet, and I
Sweet.
was there for years.
What
Wow.
were you doing with them?
I was doing like warehousing work for the longest time,
Okay.
and then I was working on the ramp, restocking like pop and chips and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I got you.
Which is why my all my branding is Hangarcat.
Oh, because you worked in a hangar.
Because the Hangarcat, first of all, I like cats. That's no surprise to anybody who's following me on any social media stuff.
sure.
But the Hangarcat is particularly assigned to get rid of the mice problem in the
Oh.
hangar.
An actual
Oh,
hangar.
okay.
Actual hanger
Those
cats.
exist.
Before,
Oh.
if you were to Google hanger cat before I came out,
Yeah.
it was nothing but pictures of cats on top of airplanes. But when I was working in Hamilton for WestJet, I was in charge of building maintenance, which was getting rid of the mice.
Okay.
So
Cool.
on
You were a
weekends,
hangar cat.
so on the weekends when everybody else was gone and there's a mouse running through the warehouse, I had to go and chase after it. So hanger cat.
I always assumed it was something to do with that hang in there motivational poster with the cat that was hanging on, and I was like, oh, it's a play on that, but I had no idea. That's very
I
interesting.
never really thought about it. It's just kind of an alias.
It is.
Yeah,
And it's
that's
become very much my identity
Mm-hmm,
online for everything, including Pokemon Go, actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. As long as we're still on the subject of your name, there's a place in LA called Salazar.
Yes.
That
What is
it's a taco place,
place.
and it's a really nice, like it's like a higher end, but like they give you like camping plates and cups and stuff.
Yeah, they like run an old gas station.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It was amazing. You can actually find my Google review on it. Just glowing review. It's amazing.
So like
The meat
LA.
tacos, I think, were probably better. Like, I liked it.
Yeah.
That was like,
It changed
God,
my
you
life.
weren't-
Yeah.
you weren't excited.
Yeah, I never do that.
So LA proper, like inside.
Yeah,
LA
I guess it was.
downtown?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. LA is an amalgamation.
Wasn't it actually in Burbank?
I feel like it was just in Burbank. Yeah, just
Yeah.
at the south end of Burbank.
Because
Yeah.
we went through the hills to get
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah. We went through a neighborhood. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find it. I love finding stuff that's related to me or it has my
Yeah.
name
Yeah.
Do you
in
like
it.
tacos?
I love tacos. I'm
like
Hispanic, dude. I mean, I love any kind of meat inside some sort of a flat dough-like structure.
For sure. Yeah.
Then this is perfect for you, I guess. I got, yeah.
I am
Hot
there.
dogs.
It's in my Twitter bio.
Oh, is
Hot
it?
dogs, pizza, yes.
Nice.
I
All
was
right.
going to suggest pizza.
Oh yeah, no, name it. And I think that every culture has some sort of a flat bread. Like where I'm from Chile originally.
Right.
And we have a flat, a native style bread. And I've seen people from China that have the same something similar.
Right.
Hispanic bread here.
Yeah.
It's like it's every culture has something like that.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, let's dive into that, but let's not. Let's talk about film. So when did you go from WestJet to jumping into the film world? What's that journey?
So I studied film in Toronto back in 2001, 2002.
Okay.
I went to the Toronto Film School. I actually applied at SAIT
Okay.
right after high school. Like
Oh.
after a couple of years off. It was supposed to be 1 year, it turned to about 5.
Right.
And again, get off the couch,
Yeah.
go find work. Hey,
Sure.
you're gonna go to school. So I applied at film at the SAIT program.
Yeah.
I applied once.
Yeah.
I did not get in.
Okay.
And I got angry and I left town
Oh, okay.
because I'm stubborn that way.
Right. Fair enough.
Oh, you don't want me? I don't want you then. I'll just go to Toronto where there's more opportunities.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't think that's an uncommon.
No.
reaction at all.
Yeah.
No, and of course, having worked in the Calgary film industry with people who have gone to SAIT, you have to apply more than once.
Yes.
You have
absolutely.
to know the right things.
I was going to say pretty common experience to not get in the first time or the second time sometimes too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I was like, no, not good enough. I'm out of here.
Right.
Screw you guys. So I left. And I found the Toronto Film School, which at that point was a technical college.
Okay.
It was like a film program they'd added to the art and design.
Oh, okay.
Institute
Interesting.
there.
Which is the same with SAIT. It's also a technical college, but
Yeah.
yeah. So was it a pretty hands-on program?
Yeah, I mean, like we had one semester of theory,
Mm-hmm.
and then second semester, camera in my hands for the first time.
Cool. Cool.
and the entire time. We had a small class. It was night school. Half the kids were asleep. So anybody who was like into it
Yeah.
got to work. And all the
Right.
teachers like, "Ooh, you're awake. You want to do stuff. Let's do a double exposure on real film.
Totally,
Let's
totally.
edit." So I had a chance to do a lot of my own projects, and to experiment with a lot of different technologies, and just it was really, really hands-on, and I really benefited from that.
Cool.
Was that a 2-year program?
It was a 3-year program compressed into a year and a half.
You said it was Toronto Film School. It's called,
The Toronto Film School.
but it was like an
It was-
evening.
Yeah, it
Thing.
was part of the International Academy of Design and Technology.
Okay.
It used to be like mostly fashion design,
Oh, okay.
which was really cool because when you'd be working all night and you'd be editing and you get all dirty and smelly and you're like sleeping next to the computer.
Yeah.
You'd wake up at 7 a.m. and all the pretty good looking fashion design students would come over and they'd look at you through the window like an animal. There they are, the film students.
I think that's every film student's journey.
Yeah, certainly the editors. Yeah.
Yeah, stuck in a room, smelling it up.
Yeah.
Spending the night in the edit suite. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did I don't want to jump the gun, but how did you come back to Calgary, or did you spend some time in Toronto after school? Or?
I bounced around a lot. Actually, I came back to Calgary because I got ill.
Okay.
I wanted to be closer to home.
Right.
My
Sure.
parents were like, you should come home. Okay. So I came home. And I started.
You said you got ill?
Yeah.
You mean homesick?
Homesick and
Like physically
and
ill?
And like health
Oh, okay.
problems.
Okay.
My diet wasn't good there.
Oh,
I was
okay,
living on
okay.
my own for the first time.
Right.
I ate a lot of mac and cheese. I gained a lot of weight.
Yeah.
My eating habits were not healthy.
Sure.
Pizza, hot dogs.
Pizza, hot dogs,
Mac and cheese.
mac and cheese.
And it's even better in Toronto.
Yeah. And so
Chipotle? Oh, no, Chipotle.
no, there was no Chipotle.
Yeah.
No, and takeout food wasn't something that I could really afford.
Right. If
So-
Chipotle was here, I'd eat that always.
Oh yeah.
I've heard good and bad things.
Wow,
about
I
that
mean,
place.
food poisoning. Yeah.
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 Get food poisoning.
When it's done well, when it's not in like a scary part of town, it's delicious. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it'll ever come here because Mucho Burrito has kind of cornered that market, which is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Continue.
So
This is a food-related podcast.
It has. Yeah, no. We went from Pokemon to food. So I'll tell you how the film thing happened. So I graduated from school and I wanted to come back here to Calgary, but at the time I didn't know where the opportunities were.
Right.
There wasn't a place that I could go to find those opportunities.
Right.
So I went back to the airport because the airport was always
You got to work. Yeah, you got to pay the bills. Yeah.
I can stay up all night and I can sit on my butt and drink coffee and wait for airplanes to show up.
Sure.
I think this is yeah. You're telling like the common
It's a-
film
yeah.
journey in Calgary because these themes are coming up all the time. Yeah.
And I want to speak to the kids who are coming up, and they think that there is nothing out there. Like it gets a lot better, guys. Like I know where to go now. I know
Yeah.
where to send people now.
Yeah.
So when I talk to kids like in schools and whatnot, I know where to send them now.
Right.
But when I was around, when I started, it was hard for me to find that community.
It's a good point. It's not that long ago that we weren't that cohesive, like a community in Calgary and in Alberta, and I think we've still got a long way to go. But yeah, I think you're right. It's a different story. I think not that long ago it was like, what the hell do I do? Like, how do I even start?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you and Scott and myself we're about kind of giving an opportunity or trying to give some understanding of what the community and the industry is to people who are new or who are trying to break in, because I agree. Like even for me, it was pretty like, where the hell do you start? I mean, that's why SATE was good, because it certainly got us connected to some people who were in the industry. Like speakers came in, and we did field trips to Edmonton, to Studio Post, and we went to White's and started to get an idea of so this is what the industry is, almost geographically in many ways.
Right.
So without that, it would be a pretty lost feeling to try to navigate it all. Right?
I think you'd still feel it. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's something that happened to me because I made all my contacts at the Toronto Film School.
Yeah, you
Right.
started
All
Yeah.
like,
Toronto filmmakers and people who
Right.
started getting right into the industry because it's all over there, or at least
there's
it
so much
was at
work
the time.
there,
Yeah.
right? That's probably a lot easier to jump into it.
So instead I said, no, I'm just going to leave again.
Perfect.
Great, smart choice. So I get over here, all my contacts are gone. You guys
Right.
had the benefit to have a group of people that came up at the same time and
Yeah.
they just spread out. So
Right.
your LinkedIn became like a great way to
Sure.
network with people. Mine did not.
Right.
So bounced around a bit more, continued working at the airport, and then my friends in Toronto got a green light to do a zombie film, an indie zombie film.
What was it called?
It was called Queen of the Zombie Punks,
Okay.
and you'll never see it
Right. Well, that's
because it never got finished.
okay.
Not uncommon.
Feature.
It was a feature, yeah,
Oh shit. Okay.
and it never got finished, and it got tied up in some legal stuff. So
Okay.
you'll never see it. I'm credited on it, but that's about it.
So what did you say? You flew back to Toronto?
Yeah, and I slept on my buddy's couch, and we worked on this awesome zombie movie for like 2-3 weeks, and it was a lot of fun. The funny thing about zombie movies is now I've worked on like 3 or 4 of them, and I
Right.
hate them.
Right.
I love working on them, but I hate them.
Right.
Hey, watching them.
I hate watching them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, but they're so much fun to make because there's
They are
blood
fun
and
to make,
there's
yeah,
you
lots
know,
of cool makeup,
violence
and,
and stunts, and as long as everybody is working safe, they're a lot of fun to do.
Right. Cool.
So yeah, zombie movie. That's how I got my start in the film industry.
Okay.
And then with that credit under my as an assistant director.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
First AD?
Yeah. No. I think it was second or
AD?
third at that point. It was very loose. It's like there's one guy who was in charge
Right,
of running
yeah,
the
yeah,
set, and I was kind of like his peripheral.
The other one, yeah.
Go
Doing the
find my
rest- doing
talent.
the actual work, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get the paperwork ready. Let's
Yeah.
let's harangue all the extras. That was kind of like where I started, and a place I've always felt comfortable in.
Right.
I like AD work. I
I didn't
like
know that. I
those
didn't know
things.
that you did AD work.
Yeah, all my credits are that once I started doing more like bigger shows, I started like I want AD. I want to
okay.
run sets. That's
Right.
I'm
It's a fun
comfortable.
role. Yeah.
It is. So with that, I tried to stay in Toronto. Still on my buddy's couch.
Right.
Didn't want to. I was like, this is getting. I feel bad for him.
Right.
Been sleeping on his couch
You're
for a
on it.
couple of
Yeah,
weeks
right,
already.
right,
and
yeah.
I don't want to stick around.
What about your WestJet job? Did you say?
Well, I actually had quit WestJet twice, man.
Okay. So you quit again? Yeah. Okay.
So there's no way they're gonna take me back.
right.
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 Every time one of these like cool social media video jobs, hey, go travel to Mexico and Cuba and do videos.
Yep.
I always send my resume. They never call me. There's a file probably at WestJet that says, "Do not hire this man."
right.
he's reneged us twice.
Right.
So no, I quit WestJet and I found work in downtown Toronto at another airline.
Oh,
I
okay.
was there for a couple of weeks, and then I was like, no, I'm gonna stay here. And I flew home to get my stuff.
Okay.
And when I was at home, I started Googling Calgary film.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, how am I going to do this in Toronto? Like, where are my contacts? Where am I going to get started? Can I do this like from someone's couch?
Right.
And when I came back to Calgary, I Googled, well, could I do this from Calgary? So I started Googling Calgary film, and I found the DGC, the Directors Guild of Canada.
There you
I
go.
found IATSE.
Right.
I found ACTRA. I found the organizations, and of course the CSIF as well.
CSIF, I was going to say, yeah.
CSIF was just a great starting point.
Right.
Where if you're indie and they're low budget and you're growing, like that's where you start. That's
Totally.
where your network of people are.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bigger organizations for the bigger shows, the guilds, the unions. And I'm like, well, I'm an AD. Which way do I go? And I went DGC.
Okay.
And
What do you mean you went DGC? Take us through that.
I signed up, became a permittee, and I started doing locations work.
Okay.
So locations PA.
So you just went to the office?
I went to the office. What courses do I need to take? Put me on the list, and I got a call. I started one of my first gigs was picking up garbage on the set of Passchendaele.
Passchendaele, nice.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
I mean, after everybody is gone, after all the lights and all the actors are gone, and there's, fluff left over from all the explosions, I was in charge of picking all that up.
Oof. All right.
I'm like, this is called paying your dues.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And I was happy to do it.
Absolutely.
It was my first job. I'm picking up trash. I'm taking pictures of everything because nobody's there. They left, they dropped me off in a truck and they went away. We'll come back in a couple hours, see the coyotes haven't eaten you.
Right.
So I'm taking pictures on the old churches with all the
Yeah.
bullet holes in them.
Yeah,
It was really cool.
Sweet.
I was like, okay, no, this
That
is
was
good.
that was a big production in Alberta, one of the biggest at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It's still one of the biggest ones,
Yeah.
and it showcased so much of our our talent and our crews and cinematography. Like, it was really good. Like, we need more of that.
Totally. Yeah.
So yeah, that was my first one, and then the location stuff kind of kept coming, and also every single movie of the week that came through town, with like people from like 90210 or Heather Locklear, and all those people came through town to make movies of the week, and I wound up doing locations,
Right.
hiding behind the door, giving cues,
Right.
setting up the lunchroom, blocking off sidewalks from
Yeah.
from passerbys.
Right. Right.
Hey, Seabass, Bogey. All right, I got him. Sir, we're making a movie.
Right,
Oh,
right.
what kind of movie you making? Can I be in it?
I'm sure it's the same every time.
So then I go. It's like, hey, what are you guys making? A diaper commercial. Nobody ever wants to be in those.
Right. Right. Right.
That's funny. That's a perfect answer.
I believe that released in some of the Americans who say mayonnaise commercial.
Oh.
Ah, yes.
Because people don't like mayonnaise that much.
They like mayonnaise in Canada, though.
They do, so that's why I go with adult diaper.
Right,
adult diaper
right.
commercial.
Adult diaper.
diaper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nobody wants to be an extra for that.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's really smart.
So locations work, locations PA, and then I got a chance to do office coordinator on a feature, another movie of the week. It was temporary, until somebody else came back,
Right.
and then I moved on to set as a trainee assistant director.
Now we're talking.
All right.
We're in.
I made it,
Yeah.
and I loved it. Like, I got a chance to work with a guy who was known as a hard ass, like, who just made people cry.
What was the production?
I don't want to say names.
What was the production? Oh, you're not.
Well, yeah.
Is that why? Okay. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
but-
All right.
But the thing is, like, I've always had a chance to work with people who were tough.
Mm-hmm.
And they can see through your BS.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not there to step it up, they will chew you
Right.
and spit you out. So he would razz me on the radio all the time. Sebastian, where are you? I'm busy. I was in the bathroom.
Uh-huh.
10-100.
Well, sometimes
10-200.
sometimes the 10-200, and
Yeah.
do you really want to get into details? And I was like, I'm 5 minutes away. And he knew where it was. He'd probably hear the echo inside the
Yeah.
porta potty. He's like, Sebastian, where are you?
Oh no.
I need you here right now. It's like, I'm 2 minutes away. Put stuff back on, and of course, working, outside in
Yep.
Canada in the winter, you're wearing all sorts of gear. I was wearing my
30 seconds just to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to put pants back on and my
Yeah.
big heavy WestJet jacket. A lot of the stuff I worked at WestJet just transferred right over. Like my earplugs, my heavy jacket. I was ready to work in -40, and I
Right.
did a couple of times.
Right.
So yeah, no, he razzed me a lot, and he pushed me. But every now and then, he'd give me a little couple things. All right, you take those 2 extras, you direct them, you set them, and
Cool.
whatnot. And then I'd stand next to him, next to the monitor, and it's like, okay, cue your extras. get your hand up, cue them. They start walking. It's like, Sebastian, you're killing me. These guys, they're dead. They're not doing anything on screen. Look at this big giant spot. You know, there's this big giant gap behind my actors. You're killing my scene. Cut, reset. All right, guys, let's try something different. You know, so I had a wonderful experience. I know he's made some people cry in the industry.
Oh yeah. I mean, unfortunately, they're around, and yeah, you have to. You have to have a strategy to manage it, otherwise it'll get to you.
So then that experience, I was able to take that experience into the indie world, where the money was less, but there was an opportunity for a bigger charge. So instead of being the trainee AD, I was a second or a first.
Oh
AD,
yeah,
right?
for sure, yeah.
I've seen what a good first AD is like.
Right.
Let's apply it in the indie film element, and that's where I learned, and that's where I've seen what they do. I did all their paperwork, I did all their commands, I knew how to manage a set. Let's put it to practice.
Right.
So I started working a lot of indies, and I liked the pace of the indies. Couple of days work, I started doing some more commercial stuff, and then right around and I got a good bunch of credits, you know, and I wanted to go to stay in the DGC, because ultimately, you know, I wanted to be a DGC director.
Right, yeah.
I think that in my background has always been, you know, from the Kevin Smith, Robert Rodriguez school, where call yourself a filmmaker already. What's stopping you? So I'm a director.
Right.
I just wanted to have DGC next to my name.
Sure.
But I didn't see a clear path in which, if you go straight up DGC, you wind up being like a producer, like a production coordinator, a production manager, a PM.
Yeah.
You know,
or even an accountant.
Yeah.
That's all, yeah.
Where do you there is no jump. It's like, okay, so I started with some experience doing AD work,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to disappear and make my own film.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to come back 10 years later with all my credits as a director, and I'll be a DGC director.
Right.
For me personally, I didn't see where that path led to me being a director.
I don't know that there is one. Maybe someone would disagree, but I don't think there is a path to becoming a director in the DGC alone. You have to get your own project off the ground somehow, some way outside of that. And so that sometimes that means becoming a producer. This is our whole philosophy that we figured out a long time ago, that, you know, nobody's going to do it for you. You're not, and I don't know of a path other than, I mean, Dean Bennett is perhaps one example, but he was a DOP first, so not even necessarily through that.
Separate department, separate guild,
union,
separate union, right? And it's totally true. And that path isn't laid out for you. And if somebody out there has figured out that path through DGC, please let me know, because I want to tell all the kids, do this, and you'll become a director.
Sure, but not in Alberta either, right?
No.
There may be those paths in Vancouver and Toronto and Montreal, but not really here.
Yeah. And even in Canada, even when I was back in film school, the first thing that they told me was, you're not going to become just a director. In Canada, you have to be a producer, you have to be a writer, you have to be a self-promoter, everything, right?
Yeah.
I would point to Ken Filowich as another anomaly example who was editing Heartland for 9 years or something, and then was given an opportunity to direct. So that's a DGC sort of path-ish, but
that's true.
You know,
That's true.
that's a long time of doing something completely different before taking that seat. And I don't think something that you could replicate either.
Not really, yeah. Like I said, I think the path is there, but I always think, you know, I worked on Heartland for 5 years or so, and not many people advanced in any way. Right?
Well, why? Because how could you?
Yeah.
Someone else is directing this.
It's the same people back the same year, and not just directing, but I mean, there's one example of Neshe, who became an assistant editor from I think she was a trainee production
She's in the office.
coordinator, in the office. And then somebody left the province. They went to a different, and that was the only reason that job opened up. And she, of course, knew Ken, and so who you know, of course, but it's not, there's so little production happening here. There's not really a ladder to climb, unfortunately, unless you're doing it over 20 years. Yeah.
There's no turnover. We don't have enough productions, and we don't have that essential. We don't have a very robust middle indie that places like Toronto, Vancouver, or any other place that has a robust, you know, film production.
Right.
A place where you can get a credit as whatever that next level up is.
Where you can get out and do stuff. And I mean, the one thing I really loved about DGC was that they were able to put me in a situation. So if you're observant and you can do the job you're assigned to do, you know, without thinking, you can be thinking about other things. You know, so if you can lay out all the garbage cans and make sure everybody's putting the recycling in the right place, then you can stand by the camera.
Right.
And instead of being, taking lockup, 4 blocks away out in the middle of a desolated highway where nobody's going to go by, but just in case the car's in the shot, if you get the chance to be beside the camera and lock up behind that door and watch the movement and watch all that, it's like it's film school happening in front of you. And you're getting paid to do it.
Totally. Yeah.
Every time I had a chance to seal off with doors, like maybe I want to be inside.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm small. I can just kind of tuck in behind one of the lights and not make any eye contact with the actors, and I can see the motions happening. I can hear the language. You immerse yourself.
Totally, yeah. And I was just teaching this blocking workshop at the CSIF, and it kind of dawned on me that there isn't anywhere except for getting on set. And now, the Ron Howard Masterclass on masterclass.com, that you can watch a director work.
Yeah.
You can see it behind the scenes, 5 minutes with interviews mixed in, and they're not really talking about blocking. They're not really talking about the language. They're talking about the film, and it's ultimately a promotional tool. This episode, I dug into your Ron Howard class, and I looked at, and you can watch Ron Howard. Yeah. And there's like 40 minutes of it, and it's just him working with actors and moving cameras around.
Yeah, blocking out a scene and
so
with performance and staging cameras, and it's
so it's great that exists, and I'm glad it does. But other than that, there's nowhere else to go other than being on set and watching a director work. Yeah.
Well, actually, I have to bring up Upstart because
totally
it was again, if you're a baseball player, you can go to the batting cages and practice on your swing.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you're a director, where do you go practice your blocking aside from your stuffed animals at home?
Totally.
Or your Lego.
Totally.
So, but if you want like human actors that you have to like deal with personalities and stuff,
and there's so much there that a Lego person is not going to do. Like the Lego person doesn't have instincts, right? And a Lego person is not a real person.
Yeah, like,
how can I continue?
Could you do it differently next time?
Right.
Could you do it faster, smarter, louder?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah.
So with a human
and actors
being,
aren't props.
Exactly. So with a human being, you get to kind of play off of them. And I've always been the kind that likes to collaborate.
Right.
You get the actor who will say, well, why don't we try it like this? Okay, well that makes sense. Let's try it. Let's try it your way. Let's try it my way. Let's see what comes out of it.
Right.
Sometimes I'm fully aware that they may have a better idea and it might come off better, and then I'll take credit for it.
Sure.
That was wonderful. Yes. No. That was me. We did great.
It's true.
So Upstart was great for that because it put me with a room of other directors where we got to watch how they did things.
You can watch other directors work,
good and bad experience, not a lot of experience, and the same thing with actors.
Right.
Actors that have never perhaps interacted with a director thinking film. Theater people maybe that came out of that. Not people who wanted to practice that stuff.
Right.
So for me, Upstart was very beneficial.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. And other than that, I don't know. I don't know. And you're right. And the really great thing about that is you get to practice in a safe space regularly, right? If you make a mistake, it's no big deal.
And you get to watch 3 other.
And you get to watch other directors.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not a real set either, right? Like you don't have the lights to deal with. You don't have the boom operator trying to figure out, okay, if you're blocking like that, how am I going to get in there?
Right. But blocking's blocking, though, right?
For sure.
Practice that blocking. Practice and I mean, when I was watching the scenes, I was like, where would I put down? And we had the camera, right? So stand beside the camera,
right?
Yeah, we're working with natural lights. This was about the less technical,
right,
and more about the craft of working with actors.
And like you say, the language.
Yeah.
Just the ability to learn how to communicate what's in your head, but also, just some of that jargon that you need to know. Yeah.
And it's the kind of stuff that if you're working with experienced people, once they start hearing that language, it will snap to it. Like if you work with an experienced crew, the second you say, okay, we're going again, that means reset everything back to 1.
Right.
Back to ones. Everybody goes on their first marks. Hey, what's the first mark? Oh, this is it. If you are well versed in that language, people who have that experience will like instinctively snap back into those roles.
Yeah.
So it's important to know that language because especially in a command situation, like an AD, like a director,
right,
you need to have that.
Totally. Yeah. So what was the next step? You'd been on some big sets. You went into the indie world. You're ADing. I know we're going to get into the social media stuff. When did that happen? When did that crossroads occur?
So I got out of the film industry because I had a kid.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to be there for my boy.
Of course.
So I got out of the long schedules.
Gotcha.
The big film shoots, the
Right.
DGC stuff, which was
14-hour days. And
14-hour days and like 20, 30, day shoots.
Right.
I wasn't seeing my family enough.
Right.
And I wanted to be there more for my family.
Of course.
So I started doing more of the indie stuff because of the smaller schedules, because of the different hours, because they weren't as long. It's like, yeah, I can disappear for like 4 days,
Sure.
and be gone for like 20 hours, but after that I'm done.
Right.
And after a day of sitting in a bath with Epsom salts, my body heals, and
Right.
I can be a human being again
Right,
and
right.
reconnect with my friends. So I did commercial work as well, because commercials, same thing. The pay's a little bit higher. The rates were higher.
Sure.
A lot of the same skills transferred right over for locations, for PA, and again, sometimes you're a PA, sometimes you're directing extras,
Right.
Because commercials are a lot more fluid that way.
Right.
Sure.
But ultimately, I wanted to stick with smaller stuff, and indie fell into that as well. And then my own things, I got a camera, and I started, putting myself out there as a person who can do corporate video, who can do like indie, like I did a couple of music videos, very, very small stuff, like very little budget.
Right.
They basically just paid for my time to show up with the camera and to edit.
Right.
Whatever lights we had is very, very small. And I've been able to do that for a while now. And I still get to be creative. I still get to do what I love to do. And even if you're doing corporate and it's a talking head,
Yep.
you can only listen to a talking head for so long. So you have to tell them, well, maybe you want to do something a little more interesting. So
Right.
let's do some B-roll. And then the B-roll, I get a chance to be creative.
Totally.
So I still get to fulfill that need to create.
Right.
And
I love, I mean, we probably I've told this story many times, but when we were at SATE, I had no intention of ever doing corporate video, and that was silly of me, because it's a great way to pay the bills, and it is an opportunity to be creative, way more than you might think, and not like you're trying to convince a client to let you do something crazy or really cinematic or something, but there's moments of creativity, like you say, in every shot, in every
And they want to be creative too. Like
Absolutely,
they're making a movie, right? Like, it is a naturally creative medium.
Yeah.
So, there's never been a shot that bored me.
Right.
I can't imagine. I can't think of one. And if it did, then you're probably doing it wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, if you're the creative type, and the person is already overwhelmed by the entire production part of it, they're like, I need to make a video. I have no idea how I'm going to hire you.
Yeah.
And then you give them an idea that makes them look good. Again, they're going to take credit for it.
It's true. That's a great point.
No, it's a wonderful video that we made.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Made you look as the best, your best foot forward. The best version of yourself on that film.
It's a really good point, and it's an interesting angle to go to clients with, because they're likely a cog in a much larger machine, and if you can do something really effective, you make them look great, and they want to come back and do another video with you after that. So
Yeah.
So that's your life now. Is you're kind of doing indies here. You got your son or daughter, son, and obviously being a dad and making movies and doing your own thing and social media. And what's the connection with IATSE?
So I've been doing social media for IATSE for the past couple of years.
Cool.
Behind the scenes, content production, community management.
Yeah.
Posting on their behalf, and that's kind of where the social media part happened for me.
Right.
When I realized that I wasn't making enough money from home, doing my corporate video shoots, because I'm not a marketer. I'm not like a big time. I'm not a self promoter. I'm not a salesman.
Yeah.
I don't know how to sell myself. I know what I'm doing, but I don't know how to sell myself.
We got to make a great video. I'm not a sales guy.
Yeah. I know how to make you look good. I kind of don't know how to make myself look good.
Sure.
I'm getting better at it though.
That's what this podcast is all about. Yeah.
Exactly. So I started talking to people at IATSE.
Right.
And they're like, here's some ideas for social media. And every time there was a big forum for film, when they're still trying to figure, before the studio happened, and they were talking about like the younger generation come up, and and I've had to shut down my shop and move to Vancouver, and I'm out of the film industry altogether. I don't know what's happening. There was always these forums where some of the industry heads were there, and you could talk to them.
Right.
And every time, like, you know what, you guys need to work on your social media, because at the same time, I started hanging out with people at the social media breakfast.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And
I don't know if we've ever been to the same one, but we've been to it as well. Have we been to? Have we seen you there? We haven't gone to many, but we used to go to them earlier on. Yeah, no, I think you brought me to one way early on.
Wasn't that how we kind of started to connect with you?
It might be. Yeah, it might have been. Yeah,
because we kept on seeing each other's faces.
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
same content.
Because that's been going on for a long time.
Social media,
like
10 years.
I remember. Yeah, geez, I remember trying to convince my boss at 724 to let me go. Take some time off in the morning, and he was cool with it. But I was like, I have to. I mean, it's part of the reason why we became our own bosses, because if I want to go to something like that, I want to go to it. I don't want permission.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember trying to bring social media back to the company. So what you're saying is you created your own job. You created your own job with IATSE, right? You said, hey, you need social media, and I can do it for you.
I can help you.
Yeah.
And then I can take what I learned in social media at the social media breakfasts and apply it to different things.
Cool.
Apply it to film. Apply it to whatever. Like I work with realtors.
Right.
I've worked with some restaurants.
Right.
I work with people who have small businesses. People who don't have a lot of money, want to do more on social media because you have to exist on social media, and everything's overwhelming and everything changes so quickly.
Yeah.
So if I can be here, you don't have to be on everything.
Yeah.
Here's a couple things you can
totally.
do.
Yeah. You shouldn't be on everything, probably.
You just need to be where your audience is.
Yeah.
Before I go full on into like social media mode.
Yeah.
It's film needs to do that too.
Right.
So I position myself as somebody who had their foot in film and had their foot in social media, and
cool.
I kind of bridged them together, and that's how my work with IATSE started.
So smart.
And also, you also have to have people that believe in it, that buy into it.
Right.
And there's some companies who will look at social media and they're like, I don't get it.
Right.
You're wasting your time.
Yeah.
And there's some people who believe in it, who see the growth in it, who see the potential for influence, for an audience to take part in the conversation that other people aren't taking part in.
Mm-hmm.
And if they buy into it, you're golden.
Right.
So one of the best examples that I have is like way back in one of the first ones. They're at like social media breakfast like 99.
I know, yeah.
We're about to hit 100, which is amazing.
Crazy, yeah.
I even did one years ago around the time of the Chilean earthquake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's about how people use social media during the earthquake.
Right. Yeah. So you spoke?
I did.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, no. It was,
and I remember you. I went to one and you were running camera for them as well, or like recording it. Yeah.
Yeah, I might be doing that again. I don't know. It's fun to do. Like, it's such a learning experience, and you learn something new every day. You come out of it, and it's networking too.
Right.
Of course,
Yeah.
So, from one of the earlier ones, one of a local TV broadcaster, she wanted to go in and talk about social media, and her bosses didn't believe in it.
Right.
Her boss, in the middle of a meeting, takes out his phone out of his pocket and does this, puts his phone up in the air and says, "Nobody's going to get their news from this."
Oh, really? Holy shit. Wow.
So that is
literally the only place I get my news and
right.
and Reddit, I suppose. But
yeah. But you're watching it on your phone.
Yeah.
Right? You're reading it on your phone.
Of course, yeah.
Right? So to make that kind of a bold statement, and I mean, people in positions of power make bold statements like that all the time.
There's when they're entrenched in their own industry.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, if you're in a news industry, that's fucking scary.
For sure.
Think that a phone, is going to take it over.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
They don't want to believe it either.
Yeah, of course.
So anyways, he didn't buy into it, but she recognized a way where she could stand out, so she started doing it, and it kind of raised her profile in Calgary as news, and she was present at all the social events. So as much as it is like being on your phone and tweeting and Facebooking and all that stuff, there's a lot of personal interaction that needs to get done as well.
Right.
Every time somebody talks about it was a social media campaign, he was a social media candidate. It's like they still did a lot of like face-to-face.
Of course.
It was all captured on social media.
Absolutely.
But there was a lot of, hey, I want to hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that at the end is like person-to-person interaction, which is what really gets growth.
Yeah. And I mean, it's interesting to, especially with political campaigns, there, I think you want, and this is the same with content, you want to give the impression that if you want to spend a full day digging into this content, you're going to be able to fill that time. You don't ever want to feel like you're going to hit a bottom, an end to the content. And of course you can, but I think that was Netflix's success is they immediately hit that point where it's like, well, there's too much on here. I can't even, and that's not a bad thing. It is a bad thing when you're trying to decide, I suppose, but I think you want, with social media, you want it to feel like I could immerse myself in this for a long time if I wanted to. Anyway, that's just an idea that popped up.
No,
I totally derailed
No,
this
it's
whole.
like you can follow a thread as long as you want.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, how many of us have fallen into like a Wikipedia like hole?
Yeah.
Where like you start reading
Yeah,
about one thing,
And then you link to something else, and yeah.
It's 3 a.m. and I'm reading about the red-tailed falcon for so long.
Yeah, totally. So I know you brought some notes, and I think this is a good opportunity for people to get some utility, because there's still people who I don't think understand social media, and we just had an hour and a half long conversation with some people, all just purely about the marketing world for film. So do you have some tips that the audience can dig into?
Well, I think I want to start from a very basic and like general social media standpoint. I think that you need to be on social media, but you also need to know where your audience is.
Right.
So if you find that you start posting on everything, like you got your Twitter, you got your Facebook, you got your Instagram.
Right.
3 very different mediums. Text-based, very visual on Instagram, very text-based on Facebook and Twitter.
Right.
And just know that where your audience is, what kind of content you need to put out. Sometimes you can spread across all 3. But like you have to have a really, really good picture for Instagram.
Right.
You have to have really, really like eye-catching video. You've only got 2 seconds to catch the person's attention.
Right.
Like 80% of it's being watched on mobile now, without sound.
Wow.
You want subtitles.
Right.
You want the big bang right at the beginning of the video, and then you have to kind of like put more stuff into it, but like you can't do the big build up like you do in traditional filmmaking.
Right, yeah.
And then expect for the big payout, because 2 seconds in, people don't care. Like
nothing's
happened yet.
Yeah.
You got to start with the big bam.
Right.
And then if you're gonna
and then you have to have another bam and a bam after to keep
several bams.
Yeah.
Because that's what attention dictates. And even if you look at the way movies are made now, it always starts off with a big bam, like in Guardians of the Galaxy, the big explosion fight with the tentacle monster thing, right?
Right.
That was the big fight scene, and then another one, then another fight scene. Whereas if you look at, like, say, the old original Superman with Christopher Reeves, it's a little slow now. Everything feels like the pacing is just not like It's a slow burn, and you have to realize that that's what the audience was used to at the time. So films were that way, but now it's like Fast and Furious.
Literally
7 of them.
8 now.
8?
Is it 8?
Furious was the last one.
8 Fast, 8 Furious.
And it was not as good as 7. Like 5, 6, and 7 were incredible movies where they embraced. Anyway, let's move on.
We had a
basically when The Rock was in.
Right, when The Rock arrived. Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. The Rock Johnson.
Tokyo Drift was the best though. So
Anyway. I haven't seen any of them.
No.
I'm not a fan.
Well, you can just start at 4.
Yeah.
And just start
no,
watching.
you can't, because then you miss Tokyo Drift.
That's okay. You can skip Tokyo Drift and 1 and 2.
No.
4 is where they realized that they were an action franchise, not a like high action shit, not just like car racing. And that's when all the car enthusiasts stopped watching those movies, and when mainstream audiences started. So 4 is where you can start.
Yeah. Utility information on the podcast.
Okay, so let's go back to more social media stuff.
So know your platform.
Know your platform. Know your audience. Tailor to that audience. Know that you don't have to be on everything. So if you find that all of a sudden you're having more interaction and more communication on Twitter, do more Twitter stuff.
Right. If that's what's working for you, your story or your brand, Yeah,
focus maybe less on Facebook. Especially with all the stuff that's happening with Facebook now. Like 6 months from now, they could haul Zuckerberg into Congress and fine him, and they'd split up Facebook and they'd shut it down, and nobody would be on it.
It's a good point. That's a good point.
Don't be like, I'm a Facebook marketer.
Right.
I'm a Facebook film person, because remember, everybody at one point was all on MySpace, and now nobody's on MySpace.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to stay fluid. You have to know that there's some stuff coming up, that there's things that trend, like kind of Snapchat kind of came out of nowhere, and how do you, and if your audience is there, put more stuff into it. Snapchat's really young though, so like like high school kids and like early 20s. And
what do you think of Snapchat? Is Snapchat gonna stick around? I know Gary's doubling down. We talk about Gary Vee a lot.
Yeah, I see it in a way where they have some innovative stuff, but then Facebook through Instagram kind of copies it and makes it better, and Instagram has a bigger audience.
Yeah, which has been Facebook's move. Same with Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Twitter was having success with news because Facebook wasn't doing news, and so that seems to be what Facebook does, is they just steal whatever's working and try to do it better.
Oh, they've got the install base, right? The
It's
just so much higher.
Yeah.
So, but they have stories on Facebook and on Instagram.
Right.
Yeah,
But
stories,
has,
Facebook,
Facebook has
Instagram.
those Snapchat, AR filters.
Filters,
where
yeah.
you can put
Yeah.
a funny face on. And
I don't know if it's sticking around. I'm usually not a naysayer. I'm like, Snapchat's a great platform, but I don't know. I think because of the erosion that Facebook has and Instagram have caused, I don't know what do you think? Is Snapchat sticking around?
For now.
Yeah.
I don't know how long term this thing goes.
Yeah.
I think just because of the demographics, like I think that it's still really young. It's still very much like peer-to-peer groups, like group communication.
To reach a broader audience. Yeah.
Like, how do you put content on that makes people like as a like an indie content producer,
Right.
Stuff that people are gonna want to reshare.
Yeah.
Because if you're the New York Times, you can get on there and people will share your stories. If you're
Right.
BuzzFeed, same thing.
Sure.
But if I'm me, how do I tap into my audience?
Yeah.
It's mostly used for like young people and chatting and groups and back and forth and short bursts of video.
Right.
You're tailoring your stories, but the audience for it isn't like huge.
Yeah.
I don't focus on much on Snapchat as some of the other things because I see the potential for content curation, for community management from a social media perspective. I see where you can get growth there.
Right.
If you dedicate less on Snapchat and you want to reach like that 25 to 35 audience,
Yeah.
it's on Instagram. The brands are on Instagram.
Yeah.
You can find your influencers on Instagram. So that's kind of what I whenever I talk to a client, do I need to be on everything? No.
Right.
Focus on these three, measure.
Right.
I seem to be getting a lot more audience on this.
Right.
Yeah. And then sorry.
I was going to ask about Vero. What do you think of Vero? Have you
I've secured my username because I think it's important from a branding perspective to secure your username.
Sure.
But for this is going to be, the anti-Facebook because it doesn't have a chronological timeline and it's not advertised and all this stuff. You hear articles about where it's, who's funding it.
Yeah.
And some of the controversial things they've done in the past.
Oh, okay.
And let's be really the big thing on privacy and your own information nowadays, right? So if you go and give all this information that should be private to a firm, and then the firm turns out to have, maybe questionable origins or questionable backing or
friends with Cambridge Analytica.
Exactly. and all of a sudden your information is already out there.
Right. Yeah.
And you have no control of it.
To be honest, my surprise at this whole Facebook thing was that people are shocked that it's happening.
That's exactly my same position.
My assumption was, yeah, my data is already out there. Like, I just don't give Facebook anything I don't want it to have, right? Like,
the reality is this is the first time that it's actually people have felt like it's been exploited.
Right.
So they're like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
giving all my data. It's like, you've been warned about this.
Yeah, I mean, the NSA thing, it was pretty big. Anyway.
Yeah.
The one thing I like to say about Facebook, every time I get one of those, Facebook's gonna start charging people for this, so you have to share this post and then your profile will go gold.
Yeah.
I haven't seen those around for a while, but I'm sure they're coming out again.
Yeah.
We have to realize that we are the product.
Oh, yeah.
On all social media that
They're never
going to
charge us. Yeah.
Like, they're never going to charge the cow
Yeah.
to make a steak.
Right.
The cow is just going to turn into the steak.
Right.
We are the product. We are the meat that goes into the sausage.
Yeah, they want everyone on Facebook. They want every single individual. Because then they have all the data that you could ever possibly measure, right?
Yeah. So if they're using that for revenue, they're not going to charge us. Now, if Vero wants to do a subscription-based service,
Oh, do they?
I heard something about that. Great. But
that might be a good thing, yeah. When it comes to data protection, right? If we're paying for a social media service, then we're the customer, not the product anymore. So yeah, that changes the paradigm.
And let's figure out where these guys are coming from and if it's something. And then there was one a while ago that popped up. It was also going to be the anti-Facebook.
Yeah.
No advertising, no backing, no revenue
stream.
stream
Yeah, I remember
either.
this popping
and it's
up.
Kind of cue something.
Yeah.
And it faded away.
Yeah.
Well, no shit. No revenue stream.
Yeah.
No advertising.
Yeah.
No charge to use. Like,
how do you?
run
Yeah.
a server.
Well,
how do you grow?
Twitter is having that problem, right? Like,
Well, but the goal is always either to charge for use or to advertise.
right.
Yeah.
There's no other revenue model.
Except for like branded content in like Vine could have done that and was doing it to some degree where they've got their star Viners. Let's do great content, but let's have it be promoted by whatever it is. Sour Patch Kids was one of the. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So So what else? What else is on your list? What should people know?
I think from let's talk about like a film perspective now. So if
Sure.
I'm a young filmmaker, if I have my own small production company, what do you do?
Right.
Again, figure out what your audience is. Have your production company have your website.
Yeah.
And then off your website, you have all your social media channels so that whenever you're posting any kind of project, you're doing behind the scenes stuff, you're doing little short videos, you're doing teasers to your bigger projects, all that stuff is on your website, on your social media channels. And what I like to do for social media clients is I draw like an octopus kind of thing.
Right.
Or like so the main one is your website. And
Right.
your website goes to your Twitter page. It goes to your Facebook page. It goes to your Instagram page.
Right.
It goes to your LinkedIn, whatever. In that same vein, the links that are on your Facebook, your Twitter, and your Instagram all go back down to your page.
Right.
So it creates the Google links, it creates that SEO, it creates if I found you on Facebook and I want to follow you, I can hit you up on this as well.
Right.
So
and that is a space that you control. So when Facebook crashes and burns, you've still got your website that is also connected to Twitter and Instagram or whatever.
Exactly. And I mean, as a small filmmaker, like, is it worth it investing all that time on like a single use website for, say, your short film? Probably not.
No.
You could do maybe like a microsite.
Right.
Actually, the Canadian Media Fund, the CMP, did a bunch of case studies on research for different films.
Okay.
Horror films based out of Quebec. And they talked about like through social media figuring out where your demographics are, and it turns out like women 35 to 45 were really into this one particular type movie.
Okay.
And they had a mini site for it that led people into newsletters, and you're amassing emails, and you're
Right.
able to send out stuff when your trailer comes out, when it's gets picked up for distribution, gets picked up for home video sales.
Right.
So they were able to take that audience all the way through. So, but that depends on the size of your production company.
Right.
But if you're just small, I would really just focus on becoming your own brand. Not unlike, say, Kevin Smith is very big on social media, but his brand is him.
Yeah.
People go to watch his movies because it's him, not because they like Catholic movies with poop monsters in them.
Dogma reference.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I had a chance to watch it a while back, and it's like, has it aged well or something? Like, and I'm Catholic too, so it's does my cup need to be refilled?
Right.
But we flock to Kevin Smith because of Kevin Smith, the persona.
Right.
So, for example, I think what you guys are doing is great because we're getting the chance to see your personas out there.
Right. Yeah.
I've seen you do your talks at the Calgary Expo.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to students. You do this. You're putting your own stuff out there.
Sure.
And I think for a small, for an indie production company, you need to do more of that.
Right.
Get your faces out there. It's like, I like who they are. I've seen them at events. I like the content they're putting out. Their short videos, their behind the scenes stuff, what they have to say, and I want to see more. And I'll support that. Like that, you build your audience like one person at a time.
Right.
That's what I would recommend for
Cool.
people starting out.
That's great. Awesome. The IATSE Instagram, that at least that's where I've seen it. Maybe it's on some other platforms as well. But IATSE seems to have started to do some video, like visiting sets. Is that you behind the camera on those?
Yeah.
Cool. So there's a Circle of Steel video.
Yeah, and
I saw.
Great example from Circle of Steel. I mean, first of all, they part of the independent agreement that IATSE has with short films, they were able to negotiate some of the language in the contracts to give IATSE or like union type work conditions for the crew.
Right.
You're not overworking them.
Yeah.
The pay is something that gets discussed in between, but the conditions, like you're gonna run this like a union set, so people are gonna work under union hours and expect that and work credits towards your permittee status and all that.
Right.
So that's what put IATSE in touch with Circle of Steel.
Gotcha.
And what I liked about Circle of Steel, first of all, the production team was really positive. They created a really great positive work environment. People were happy. It was like day 20 and people were still happy. And I've been on sets where like day 10, you're like,
yeah.
I want you to die.
Let me get out of here. Yeah.
And I look at the director like, you're dead to me. And I mean, like I've heard productions that get T-shirts made.
Yeah.
Not even like of the film, like, against the production.
Oh, against the
production. Oh yeah.
That's no good.
Yeah. So they've turned on you. It's like,
yeah.
But there was a really positive work environment.
Right. That's great.
And they promoted a lot of their stuff through social media.
Yeah.
So any kind of behind the scenes pictures were tagged with everybody's Instagram.
Right.
So
Smart.
when I had to help promote this kind of stuff, it was like, okay, well, I'm going to reach out to everybody in the production. Oh, look, there's a list.
Right.
So if your grip, if your camera op, if your caterer is on Instagram,
Yeah.
get all those tags. You put
Totally.
a picture on set, they're on work on the production, put them in the tags.
For sure.
You know, that's the best way to do it.
That's super smart. Yeah. There are filmmakers who tag us on posts and like the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and we always retweet it if you've tagged us.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to just say, yeah, now we're sharing, now we're increasing the volume of that post. So it's a really good idea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's being part of the community, right?
Yeah, for sure.
A community that needs to grow, a community that's not well versed in social media as much as it could be.
Totally.
Compared to,
Yeah.
I always think that what they're doing in the States, they're years ahead of what we're doing.
Hmm.
Like they were doing promotions for food trucks like 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
true.
and when they showed up here, it's like, oh my God, we got food trucks now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, really?
Yeah. Oh, that's the Calgary way, man. We get
We're
everything
a-
10 years later.
We're
yeah.
a little behind.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
We're a little behind on social media still. It's
Yeah.
growing. And
sure.
and again, the film industry, which is reluctant to change,
Mm-hmm.
isn't as well versed in social media. So it's like the younger people,
Right.
the people who are coming out of SAIT are the ones that are kind of embracing this thing. And
Yeah.
like help them out, help that community grow. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Cool, man. Anything else you want to chat about? What's the
Yeah, I mean, what's next for you? What's
Yeah.
coming up?
Well, I'm going to continue doing this kind of stuff. I'm doing. I'll always be doing my social media, content production, and community management. Always looking for the next challenge for that, the
Right.
next client,
Right.
the next big project to do with that.
Sure.
At the same time, I'm using some of the stuff that I've learned in film production to go work with some kids in schools.
Cool.
I have a friend who's a teacher in the Spanish immersion school.
Oh, sweet.
Cool.
So one thing I haven't mentioned this entire time is I can do this whole thing in Spanish.
Ah, yes.
Right? So I get a chance to work with some kids who are in Spanish immersion school who are fluent in Spanish, and we get to do this entire like mini documentary course in Spanish,
Gotcha.
which is awesome.
That's great.
And different perspectives. And I want to. There's just two things I want to leave. First of all, like
Sure.
when I was in school, I always wanted to. I never had anybody walk into my school and tell me how to get into film.
Right.
I started getting into film because I played with my dad's camera when I was like 9-10 years old.
Right.
And editing on his 2 VCRs like Robert Rodriguez did. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
if he's doing it, I can do it.
There you go.
But I never had anybody come into my school and to teach me or to show me where the next step is.
Right.
It felt like filmmaking was this thing that existed outside of my universe.
Right.
Whereas in Calgary now, there is a path to work in that stuff. So when I go to these schools and I talk to like high school kids who are about to go to university, hey, where can I go? I'm like, well, you can start off at SAIT.
Right.
I'll tell you where I went. I went to Toronto. You
Right.
can go to Vancouver.
Yeah.
You can study here at SAIT.
Sure.
And I keep talking about SAIT. And there's other avenues here in Calgary as well.
Sure. And all over the world. Yeah.
Yeah, but because I worked on Calgary sets, I saw the people that came out of SAIT.
Right.
And I have nothing but good things to say about them.
Cool.
They're professional, they're well trained, and they've always added to the professionalism on set. So it's like SAIT is an avenue in which you can do that.
Right.
You have to snake in and out of the big shows and little shows and pay your dues and get to that charge, but eventually you can build your way up.
Right.
SAIT is a way to do it. And the other thing is from a filmmaker's perspective is that, like I said, I'm from Chile. I came here when I was 9 years old.
Wow.
And I still speak Spanish with my family, and I think it's important that no matter where you're from, that you have a responsibility to tell that story.
Right.
All of our stories are unique. My story, how I got here, and the stories that I've heard, you guys have never heard.
Of course. Yeah.
I can talk about a mythology. I can talk about a history. I can talk about all these different things that to you are new.
Right. Yeah.
So I think as a filmmaker, I have a responsibility to tell that story.
And you have the unique perspective on it as an individual in that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The immigrant story, the Latino story, any one of those things that you never know how you're going to connect with somebody in the audience.
Right.
Like
right.
I connected big time with Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah.
I'm not Greek.
Right.
But
it's a universal story in many ways. Yeah.
There's things that anybody can identify with,
sure,
with
yeah.
family, with maybe a parent that's a little overbearing,
Right.
with the pressures of having to get married and all these things. Like, wow, no, it really struck me.
Yeah,
It hit home. Like, no, we have like the Greeks and the Latinos are not that different,
Right.
you know. And then like 3 weeks later, I went to a wedding. A friend of mine who was chilling married a Greek guy.
There you go.
So I was like, oh, okay, no, we're having lamb at midnight. Let's do it. Hey, is that ouzo? Let's do it.
Nice.
So I was ready for that, and it was just such a like, you know, the more we learn about other cultures, the more we're going to be more open to it.
Totally. Yeah.
And the more the closer the world becomes, the less.
Well, the more
enemies.
you recognize you're the same.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There's so many things in this world right now telling us how we're different and how we're, you know, we're in different segments, and you belong on this side and you belong on this side.
Yeah.
And we're not that far apart.
Totally.
There's a lot of grays.
For sure.
And we need to, and as a storyteller, we need to find those grays and tell those stories. And also, if we have that microphone, if we have that camera, and somebody can't get their story out there, I think it's also important to put that mic in that person's face and say, I want to hear your story. I want to amplify your voice and your story.
Yeah.
So if you're speaking on behalf, like say at the Women's March, you stick that camera in their face and get their story and get that story out there. Even if it's just a cell phone, like a live video.
Yeah.
You know, anything that you can help to propagate that voice. You know, the voice of First Nations, which also doesn't have a big audience here, and it's always like, I don't want to hear about this. It's like, no, it's important to hear that story, you know. And,
Totally, yeah.
And I feel that we should amplify it. Learning how to use a microphone, learning how to use a camera is a responsibility.
For sure.
And I tell the kids that.
That's
great.
Kids
get all like, I don't know what to talk about. So it's like, well, find what your story is. Hey, that teacher over there, they come from a different place. They came from a Central American country where there was political turmoil, and he's very mild-mannered now, but he had to escape, like, you know, of an oppressive government.
Right. Yeah.
Tell me that's not a story that's relevant now.
Totally. Incredible story. Yeah.
So you being like a grade 8, grade 9 kid, stick that camera in his face, get that story.
Yeah, totally. That's that and I think those kids are going to live in a world where that is just ubiquitous, right? Everyone is going to be, and it's already happening with social media and with live video, and everyone is telling a story and has a microphone and a camera and an editing suite in their pocket, and so yeah. Well, I think that's a great message to end on. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
that was great. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.